a mountain guide, and a motivational speaker. As a climbing leader of the famed 1996 Everest IMAX expedition, Jamling was able to follow the footsteps of his father. He has written many books. His famous book, Touching My Father's Soul, is an excellent read, touching Sherpa's sacred journey to the top of the world, and it has been released in 18 different languages. May I request Jamling to please come up and share your experience.
Good evening. Well, I don't know if you have enough time to share all my experiences. It's going to take a long time. So I'm going to keep it short. The mountaineers, we don't talk much. We do a lot of climbing. And but I just want to thank the Indian Mountaineering Foundation, the president, and all the members for organizing this event here tonight in New Delhi. This is the second of many events taking place in India to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the conquest of Mount Everest by Sir Edmund and my father, Tenzing Norgay. One of the first celebrations that took place was at the Himalayan Mountaineering Institute in Darjeeling, which was founded by my father and Nehru, where once after my father came back from the summit, Nehru basically told my father that we have to produce 1,000 more Tenzings, so let us build you a school. And that's how the birth of mountaineering started in India. Because back then, the word mountaineering adventure was not in the dictionary of most Indians. Had no idea what it was about. And it was only after the building of the schools that the sense of adventure, sports, mountaineering started to originate into, our citizens here. And with that formation was, how the first Indian expedition landed up putting 9 people on the summit of Everest in 1965. And then subsequently now we have thousands of people from our country that have scaled this mountain. But like Rita mentioned earlier, it's not the highest mountain that you climb, it's the journey that is important. And people forget that these days. Everybody wants to go up to take a selfie on the top of the Everest and then take a helicopter and get out of Camp 2 or whatever it is. So the whole experience is lost. And I think it is important, the body, one of the biggest adventure body in India, the Indian Mountaineering Foundation, to promote adventure, tourism, adventure sports in this country to the youth. And not for a selfie, but to, for them to experience the journey, and promoting these into all the schools of our country is very important. You start at a young age, you're going to get very good results at the end. So I want to thank each and every one of you for being here to celebrate the 70th anniversary of our father's conquest. And back then, Hillary and my father, the British expedition, the leader of the expedition, John Hunt, who played a most important role in making sure that this was a successful expedition. Everything was meticulously planned, from every ration to the sugar they brought in, the lemon juice, and everything was planned. And we needed a good leader for that. And it was the teamwork of all the Sherpas and the team members. Back then they climbed together as a team. They didn't have Sherpas, they didn't say, okay, you Sherpas go and carry the supplies, put the ropes up and I'll come later. Every member carried equal loads, as all the Sherpas. They helped together to make this expedition possible. And that is the type of a spirit that we need to promote into the youth of, our country, in this world today. That is missing today. Everybody wants to go shortcut nowadays. And these were the 2 gentlemen. Now, you can imagine Edmund, Hillary, and my father, they were about tall gentlemen, and they were sleeping at the ledge at about 28,500 feet, Camp 9 at that time. And the wind is howling, temperatures about minus 30 degrees, minus 40 degrees, and it's cold, windy, and just 2 lonely souls on a ledge, spending a night together in a small tent, and just have enough space, they're squeezed into this tent, and not talking to each other. Because my father hardly spoke any English, and Hillary did not speak any Nepali or Sherpa language. And how were these two people communicating? And the next day they were going to go and create history. And it just goes to show you that no matter what ethnic background you're from or geographic location you're from, you can accomplish anything if you're passionate and you have the burning desire and the drive, and you work together as a team. And this is proven by these two gentlemen 70 years ago. And they paved the way. They gave hope to millions of people, not only to climb Everest, but to climb their own Everest. What about forms of life, careers they were doing? We give them hope. And they were inspiration to millions. And I hope 70 years down the line, they'll continue to inspire. Just as these two gentlemen, these two humble, simple people, they climbed this mountain, came back as heroes, but they continue to live the rest of their lives as a simple, humble human beings. And instead, they give back to the community, to the people that lived in the shoulders of the mountains. But thank you once again for having me here tonight.
Thank you so much, Jamling. Peter Hillary is also living his passion of mountaineering, having climbed Mount Everest in 1990, following footsteps of his father. He is now deeply involved into social cause through Himalayan Trust, which is a major fundraiser engaged in building schools, hospitals, providing scholarships, running environmental programs, and all of those things in Nepal. May I request Peter to kindly come up and share your thoughts, please. A big round of applause for him, please.
Well, thank you very much. It's actually rather nostalgic being back here at the INF. I remember the building had only recently been completed, and we were here for the Indo-New Zealand Himalayan Traverse Expedition. And so it's a thrill to be back here. We were so well looked after. I remember Captain Mohan Kohli, Harish Serene, sort of being in support of the expedition. And of course, one of my old expedition members there, SP Chamoli, who was with us on that 10-month expedition. We shared a lot of great times on that long expedition. It's been very nice just before the pandemic when SP and his family were in New Zealand, and we had them with us up in the North Island and then again in the South Island. And that's sort of what it's about, isn't it? It's about the camaraderie, the friendship of mountaineering. I think that's one of the really important things. And as Jamling was saying, and in fact, Brigadier, you were talking about that teamwork, how they all felt successful. They worked as a team. Everyone had different functions, and they achieved an incredible goal. And that's one of the important things about the Indian Mountaineering Foundation. It's an opportunity to engage with young people, give them an opportunity to go into the mountains, have great friendships, take on a big challenge, and thereby basically change themselves. Because when you put enormous effort into an undertaking, you change, you learn. You have to push yourself to a degree that you have not done before. And that's the extraordinary thing about the 1953 expedition. They went into the unknown. Everyone says it, but when you're going up that summit ridge, you suddenly think, this is what it was like. The Ed Hillary and Tenzing Norgay, except they were going into the unknown. Are we capable physiologically to go to this elevation? Do we have the skills to climb, that knife-edge ridge and the great step that my father climbed, the Hillary step, that bars the route to the summit of the mountain? And of course, once they had achieved that, they opened the doors to all of us. And in a way, That's such an important thing. It didn't really matter whether or not everyone on Earth wanted to climb Mount Everest, but every human being knew that it could be done, that human beings had that capability to push harder and go further than we ever did before. And that's an extraordinary change, really, over the 20th century. When you think about it, you know, in 1900, if you said to people, people will climb to the top of Mount Everest, you know, I mean, 10 years later, two men, Hornbein and Willie Unsall, traversed the mountain. If you said to people, will the mountain be traversed? Will people go to the moon? Will we carry ingenious little devices like this around in our pocket with all sorts of information available to us? I think people would have said it's impossible. But today, everyone goes, no, one day that will happen. And so it is an exciting time to be alive. I know there are negatives up there on Mount Everest, and there's been some discussion with that. But, you know, for the vast majority of people, they have done their apprenticeship. They've done their preparation. They've climbed on lower mountains. They have the technical expertise. And the thing about an Everest climb, it changes your life forever. Every morning you wake up and you might go, look, you know, I did these degrees at university. I raised money for a charity. I developed a business. And I climbed the highest mountain in the world. That will be with you always. Having a high altitude climbing experience is an incredibly powerful experience. And I think it is to be encouraged for people to go out into nature, into the mountains, and to learn from that experience. Of course, with the challenges the world is facing now, there are things that need to come out of this, and that is that we become advocates for nature, for conservation of forests and of the mountains, and of course advocates for addressing some of the potentially the greatest challenge of our age, which is the climate change. Climate change occurs to its full degree. The world will not be as we know it now. That is an absolute crisis. And I think it is incumbent on mountaineers and people who understand and connect with the mountains and the outdoors to really support this and make sure that we do make the changes that are necessary and take advantage of the opportunities that inevitably will come through a different approach, which is what is going to be required. But look, it's wonderful to be back here at the IMF, our Himalayan Traverse Expedition. We had all of our equipment laid out in the halls of this institution. We stayed here for about a week before we started that long 10-month expedition, and it was a wonderful time shared with a lot of different climbers and adventurers from India. The Hillary family feels very, very fondly of this country. We've always been welcomed. The first time I came here, I was 7 years old. We had the most marvellous time. My father went on to become the High Commissioner for New Zealand here in New Delhi, and that was an incredible time for him. We love coming to India, and I'm so pleased that my children are here and that they can share some of the incredible opportunities and welcome that this country always delivers. So thank you very much for having us here, and I'm just delighted to be back at the IMF. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Peter. It must have been very nostalgic for you to have, come back and remember good old times. With the permission of ma'am, we have slight change, and can I, request, we have a program, it is a rally that we are planning. The Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs supports us. So we are planning EV rally purely in the Himalayas. So we will just take 2 to 3 minutes of yours with your permission just to elaborate. May I please call upon Veer to come and quickly give us a brief insight of what we are doing.
Thank you, everyone. I'll just take quick 5 minutes. Thank you, ma'am, for giving me the time. IMF and us have been speaking for a while. IMF came to us with a challenge, saying, okay, we want to raise funds for the Himalayas. And we want to do it in a manner that everyone sits up and notices that India is going to be doing something that's going to change the world. So we came up with this idea where we said India will lead and the world will follow. So the idea is that we're going to be doing the world's first high altitude electric biodiesel and alternate fuel rally in the Himalayas. So what's going to happen is we're going to be getting the world to sit up and notice that the infrastructure in this country has changed. IMF is serious about, making sure that whatever is developing in this country, we can do it in such a manner that we can make sustainability the main cause in terms of going forward. So what some of the key points is that we, like I said, first rally of its kind, the leading manufacturers of the world are going to be participating. We are even speaking to companies like Tesla to come in, even though they are not in the country. So we're going to be having the Mercedes, the Porsches, the Audis, and everyone else that is going to be, taking part in this rally. It's going to end with something that we're going to do. We're calling it the Sustainability Summit. It's going to happen in Chandigarh, where we're going to be getting people from all walks of life together. We're going to be getting EV manufacturers there. We're going to be getting environmentalists there. We're going to be getting tourism experts there. We're going to be getting mountaineers there. Some people who've climbed the Mount Everest before, to understand and come up with, to understand the problem and come up with a solution, so that no one can, after this summit, keep up with that finger pointing kind of a thing. Next slide, please. So, quick thing, it's going to start on like we said, 5th June is today where we're announcing it. We're going to start the program on the 1st of August, and 17th of September is when the rally is, or the summit is going to happen. 16th is when the closing ceremony is going to happen. And we're trying to catch the rally just before the winter sets in. Next, please. I'll quickly skip over this because, this wasn't scheduled, so, just using, so this is let's go back. That's the route of the rally. We're going to start it off from Leh. We're going to come down Leh, come down to Sarchu, climbing a pass at 17,500 feet, coming down to close to 14,000 feet, coming down to Manali, which is around 7,000 feet, and ending it in Chandigarh. So we can tell everyone that the basic point is to tell people, like what Peter said, that it's the first. If we guys can do it, you guys can also do it. We've got the infrastructure there. We've got, a large program that we're going to be backing with this. The principal purpose is to be able to create a corpus. Apart from that, the vision that we're going to be putting behind this rally is that we're going to be, over the next 10 years, planting 1 billion trees across the globe. So we're going to be creating funds for that. And we are going to be, so this is what we are saying, is that this is the IMF, pledge and the challenge that we are going to be giving back. We've got a full-fledged program that we're working out with the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, that how we can make our highways completely carbon neutral. And this is something that we're going to be doing. We're going to be putting nurseries across the country. We're going to be having massive, tech that we're going to be using, where we're going to be, monitoring all parts digitally, so that we know for a fact that every tree that needs to be replanted will get replanted. And after this program gets over, in the next 3 odd years, so this rally has multiple phases. It's being done from Leh to Chandigarh now. 3 years later, this is going to be a Manali to Shillong kind of a rally. So we'll be covering the entire breadth of the country, and maybe, if IMF wants, we can even go down south or whatever, but we'll stick to the Himalayas for now. And the promise is that if any other mountaineering region wants us to do a rally there, be it the Andes, be it the Alps, be it anywhere else, we are ready to take this event there, and we are going to carry on the promise that wherever this rally goes, we're going to be planting trees and trees and trees and many trees, so that we can make this planet better than the thing that we inherited. So just in a brief, I've given, because not too much time, I think we're all running late. So thank you for this opportunity. I would like to thank both the secretaries that are here, because they are the people who are behind this vision. The president is the one that's been motivating us, ever for the last 1 odd year. And hopefully this is going to be a reality, and we look forward to hosting all of you again in Leh. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir, for giving a brief insight about the venture that we are planning. And there is a very positive feedback from all the stakeholders so far, and we seek the blessings of various ministries, including Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs and Ministry of Surface Transport. Moving forward, thank you so much for bearing with the 5 extra minutes for this little diversion from our program. May I now call upon Sri Amit Kumar Ghoshi, who is also a passionate adventurist, I should say, and has been guiding and helping us to say a few words of encouragement. Please, sir.
Madam Meeta Rajiv Lochji, Secretary Government of India, Madam Professor Harshwat Divesh, President of the IMF, distinguished guests, Mr. Peter Kennedy and Mr. Jamling Norgay, other distinguished mountaineers, some of them are old friends because of my stints in different districts in the Himalayas when UP was undivided and also when it got divided. So post-division I stayed back in Uttarakhand. So I'm happy to see many known faces here, and I'm really grateful to the President of the IMF for having extended a kind invitation so that I could be part of this, historic occasion. Today I've heard 4 icons speak about their perspectives, and each one of you, when you spoke, you mesmerized the audience and their minds, because whether one has climbed the Everest or not, there is always this, this fascination. One may say that today everybody wants to go only to Everest, but there is this mystic air about the Mount Everest, and to all of us, Sir Edmund and Tenzing Norgay will remain heroes. So, great occasion. I am very happy to be here. And I first met the President IMF at that time. Gil Sahab was the President, and he came over when I was a young district magistrate 23 years ago. And always an honor. So I invited him over to my residence, and over at dinner he says, Amit, we have to do something to clean up the Himalayas. So it grieves the heart when I look at these pictures of litter all over. We have to do something, and I truly believe that the IMF, I was mentioning to Madam Secretary that the IMF to me is the only agency. It is actually the only agency which can be called, sort of guardians of the Himalayas. They have to, because this is the work that I think goes to the IMF. And every mountaineer, including, they need not be climbing the Everest. Each one of those who are now undergoing training or will come to any of our NIMs or HMIs, they must be sensitized on this along with the hill community. So this is one task we have to really take it upon our shoulder, because it's a very big challenge. It is an immediate problem staring us in our faces. So with these words, let me congratulate President IMF also on her initiative. I have been involved in part of the discussions. I think that, doing something environment friendly and making it an annual feature is something that IMF should do. And as the President has mentioned, it will also associate a very large number of people with IMF and also bring in different streams of revenue to the IMF. So with these words, once again, thank you, Peter. Thank you, Jamling, for being here. And it's an honor to meet both of you. And thank you, Madam, for inviting me here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. You have been very guiding factor, and you have been very closely associated. Thanks for your guidance to us, and we will certainly, embark upon what you have been telling us every now and then. Thank you for all the support.